Kunja Vihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yasodanandana Braja Janaranjana. Yasodanandana Braja Janaranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Bolo, bolo. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yasodanandana Braja Janaranjana. Yasodanandana Braja Janaranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Jai Vishnu Pad Paramahansa Buddha Sadhya Divine Grace Shri Lace Bhakti Vedanta Goswami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Vishnu Pad Paramahansa Prabhupada Sadhya Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Sri Guru Parampara Ki Jai. Sri Mad Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Sri Mad Bhagavad Gita Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glory to the assembled devotees. All glory to Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga. Go Premananda Hari Haribo. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. All together, please. Om Jnana Timarandasya Ganandana Salakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manovistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yukta Padakavalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raganatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sarvadutam Prijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapcha Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Brindavaneshwari Vrishabhana Sudadevi Pranamami Hari Priye Panchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Vaivacha Patitanam Pavnebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasati Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. So, reading from Srimad Bhagavad Gita, translation and commentary, Srila Prabhupada. Today's verse number 6 of chapter 9. And the chapter title, The Most Confidential Knowledge. What could that be? We all want knowledge, right? In society they say knowledge is power. We want knowledge, we want education. So, what is the most confidential knowledge? And who would know better than Krishna? So that is the subject of today's chapter, number 6. Please repeat. Yatha kasha stito nityam vayuhu savatra go mahan tata sarvani Bhutani Matstani Upadharaya Yathakasha Stito Nityam Vayuhu Savarata Go Mahan Tata Sarvani Bhutani Matstani Upadharaya Yathakasha Stito Nityam Vayuhu Savatra Go Mahan Tatar Sarvani Bhutani Matstanitya Upadhara. Okay, go ahead.
Vayu sarvatra go mahan Tada sarvani bhutani Masthani upadharaya Yatha kasastito nityam Vayu sarvatra go mahan Tata sarvani bhutani Masthani upadharaya
Yathakasastu
nityam
Vayu sarvatra go mahan Tatha sarvani bhutani Masthani upadharaya.
Okay, word for word, please repeat. Yatha, just as. Akasha stitaha. situated in the sky. Nityam, always. Vayu, the wind. Savatragaha, blowing everywhere. Mahan, great. Tata, similarly. Sarvani Bhutani, all created beings. Madstani, situated in me. Thus, Upadaraya, try to understand. Translation, Srila Prabhupada. Understand that as the mighty wind blowing everywhere rests always in the sky, all created beings rest in me. Please repeat. Understand that as the mighty wind blowing everywhere rests always in the sky, all created beings rest in me. Okay, purport Srila Prabhupada. For the ordinary person, it is almost inconceivable. Excuse me? Huh? It's a voice from the Akash. Okay, purport Srila Prabhupada. For the ordinary person, it is almost inconceivable how the huge material creation is resting in him. But the Lord is giving an example which may help us to understand. The sky may be the biggest manifestation we can conceive, and in that sky the wind or air is the biggest manifestation in the cosmic world. The movement of the air influences the movement of everything. But although the wind is great, it is still situated within the sky. The wind is not beyond the sky. Similarly, all the wonderful cosmic manifestations are existing by the supreme will of God, and all of them are subordinate to that supreme will. As we generally say, not a blade of grass moves without the will of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Thus, everything is moving under His will. By His will, everything is being created, everything is being maintained, and everything is being annihilated. Still, He is aloof from everything, as the sky is always aloof from the activities of the wind. In the Upanishads it is stated, Yad Visha Vata Pavata. It is out of fear of the Supreme Lord that the wind is blowing. Kshatriya Upanishad 281. In the Brihad Aranya Upanishad 389 it is stated, Itasya va akarasya prakshane gargi surya chandra masho ritu tishate itasya va akarasya prakashane gargi dvav aprivarayo vritato tishtaha. By the supreme order, under the superintendence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the moon, the sun, and other great planets are moving. In the Brahma Samhita 552 it is also stated, Yak chakshuresa savita sakalagrahanam raja samasta suramurti asesha teja yashya yagya brahmati sambritikala chakro govindamadi purisham tamaham bhajami. This is a description of the movements of the sun. It is said that the sun is considered to be one of the eyes of the Supreme Lord, and that it has immense potency to diffuse heat and light. Still, it is moving in its prescribed orbit by the order and supreme will of Govinda. So, from the Vedic literature, we can find evidence that this material manifestation, which appears to us to be very wonderful and great, is under the complete control of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This will be further explained in later verses of this chapter. Yes. So, Makam Karochi Vachalam Pangam Lategrim Yatama De Guru Dinadarinam Yatha Kashastito Nityam Vayu Savatago Mahan Tata Sarvani Bhutani Matstani Tya Uparaya. Understand that as the mighty wind blowing everywhere rests always in the sky, all beings rest in me. Yes, so Krishna is giving the most confidential knowledge, right? At the beginning, he says that. Verse 1. Let's get some context. My dear Arjuna, because you are never envious of me, I'll impart to you the most confidential knowledge and realization, knowing which you shall be relieved of the miseries of material existence. This knowledge is the king of education, the most secret of all secrets. It's the purest knowledge, and because it gives direct perception of the self by realization, it is the perfection of religion. It is everlasting, and it is joyfully performed. So that's the very introduction. That's Krishna saying this knowledge, and he's giving it a good introduction. Those who are not faithful in this devotional service cannot attain me, O conqueror of enemies. Therefore they return to the path of birth and death in this material world. By me, in my unmanifested form, this entire universe is pervaded. All beings are in me, but I am not in them. And then the verse before today's, and yet everything that is created does not rest in me. Behold my mystic opulence. Although I am the maintainer of all entities, and although I am everywhere, I am not part of this cosmic manifestation, for myself is the very source of creation. Understand that as the mighty wind blowing everywhere rests always in the sky, all created beings rest in me. So Krishna is giving the ultimate conclusion, philosophical encapsulation of the Vedic knowledge, and that being Achintya Ved Abed. Right? You've heard all this. You're all experienced devotees. Achintya means beyond material mind, material logic, beyond material calculation. What? Ved Abed. That this creation that we find ourselves in, all living entities find ourselves in this creation, and we are all trying to assess this creation, examine this creation, and come to some truthful or accurate conclusion about this creation. This has emanated from me, and it remains within me, and yet I am separate. So this creation is simultaneously Achintya Ved Abed. It is simultaneously me and not me. Why? Because I maintain my position as the origin. I expand myself into the creation to give it shelter. All beings rest in me, as everything rests within the sky, within Akash. But still, I am separate from this creation. So this is beyond material logic, right? This is material logic means if everything is within me, then I am not separate from everything. But the creation, the logic of this material world does not apply to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Supreme Lord is the creator of logic and argument. He is not bound by it. It is his plaything. He has created the scientific aspects of this material world, atoms and molecules and so on, action and reaction, physics. And everyone is looking into this material energy, examining, finding DNA, atoms and molecules, and they're trying to understand this material energy and come to some conclusion. They've found out the magnetic force, they've found out the electrical force, they found out local radiation and big radiation, and they're trying, how does it all fit together? This is all Krishna's production, and they are using logical analysis and calculation in the form of interpretation and also in the form of mathematics to calculate, to understand this material energy. But as any advanced mathematician will tell you, there are certain anomalies within mathematics that contradict mathematics itself. There are questions and problems in higher mathematics that cannot be resolved by mathematics. And also this material world, no matter how much knowledge is gathered, for example, in the beginning, in an atom, there was the neutrons, the nucleus, and then there was electrons, and then there was protons, and then they examined electrons and protons. They found went deeper, and gluons and so on, and quarks and this and that. And it was about a year ago, I was reading an article. They've even now, they speculate or they interpret their findings that even within an electron, there is a little universe there. There are subparticles within an electron. So, this is the material energy. And they are trying to understand it and come to some conclusion. Now, in the Vedanta Sutra, first verse that Veda Vyas has given us is Atato Brahma Jignas. Now that you are a human being with perhaps more intelligence and some understanding, inquire into Brahma, what is supreme, what is the ultimate aspect of reality, what is the aspect of reality that explains reality. So the material scientists, in their noble but misguided way, are trying to find that explanation, that ultimate calculation that explains everything within the material world. That is the materialist. Materialism in terms of philosophy, if we take the word as a philosophy, means that matter is everything. Therefore, if I understand matter properly, I will understand everything. That the explanation is within matter. However, that is a mistake. Because we know from the Vedas, and we know from Asita, Devala, Vyas, we know from Arjuna in 11th or 10th canto, he says, you are Param Dhamma, Pavitram, Paramam Pabam. You are the transcendental Lord. You are from within the spiritual energy. Now, the Supreme Lord is explaining here that I remain in my spiritual position, but I expand as the material energy. And all the living entities, they're taking action and floating in this material energy, in this ocean of desire and karma, according to their desire, according to their will. But Krishna here is explaining to Arjuna that the real understanding of reality will never be found within the material energy, because the source of the material energy is not material. It is coming from an omnipotent, all-powerful Lord. Lord Brahma, in the Brahma Samhita, Brahma means supreme. Incidentally, while we're on this subject, it's very interesting how Veda Vyas says it. He says Brahma Jignas. He doesn't, Brahma means that which is supreme. So this is a very broad term. It's not saying inquire into Krishna, inquire into Vishnu, inquire into Shiva, inquire into the molecules. Find that which is supreme. So it is not, it is eclectic, the English word means. It is all-inclusive. The material scientists, they are also trying to find what is the supreme explanation. But Krishna is explaining to Arjuna, the supreme explanation is me. I am the source of the creation, and all the creation rests within me. Today's verse, just like the wind remains within the sky. The sky is a translation of the word Akash. So in the material energy, Krishna's educating Arjuna in terms of the material energy. I am the source, I am spiritual, I am the supreme transcendental Lord, but the material energy, the Pancha Mahabhuta, 5 material elements, earth, water, fire, air, and ether. Ether is translated as Akash. So we know what is earth, solids. Water itself, liquids, and then we know fire, plasma, and then we know air, or gaseous state. But now the material scientists will say, yes, there are solids, there are liquids, there is plasma, there is gas, but they do not understand. This is one of the problems they've had. 100 years ago, all scientists said there is ether, and they did experiments to discover ether. And those experiments are going on. But in the modern day, ether is fluctuated. But now, so we, as followers of the Vedas, followers of Krishna, we should have a proper understanding of Akash. Akash means space. It's translated often as space or the sky. So, Akash is not in space. This is the important point. Now, air is within space. The wind is within space, as Krishna is saying here. But the Akash is space. The material creation, we've discussed in previous classes, is created and withdrawn. The time factor interacts with the material energy, creates all the varieties. It lasts for trillions of years, then it's withdrawn. And then it's created again. And then it's withdrawn and created again. So, Akash is space. When it's withdrawn, the space within which earth, water, fire, and air move and interact is Akash. And that is a creation. Try to understand. Just like if we were to make this room completely sealed, and we took everything out, we took all the air out and all atoms and molecules out, it would still contain Akash. So Akash is not in space, it is space. Just for example, another example to maybe help the penny drop. Like if I have a balloon and I blow into a balloon, the balloon becomes big, right? I say, oh, you've made a balloon. So instead of thinking of air going into balloon, think of air or Akash expanding. And within that, earth, water, fire, air, ether, all the living entities, the subtle elements act. So Akash is, the sky is space. It is not in space. Now here, Krishna is saying, the mighty wind is within space. It is within. So and he's giving this example, that just like all things are within the Akash, the sky, the most subtle element. So all beings rest within me. Even the material creation rests within me. But I maintain my transcendental position as being aloof. I expand as the material energy. I empower Lord Brahma. I expand as Lord Shiva. I empower the demigods. I educate the rishis. I give them all knowledge. I maintain their existence. I'm not only the creator, but I'm the maintainer. And this is the material creation. It is operating within Akash. And this whole material creation, the Akash included, is within me. And yet, I am aloof from it. I have empowered the demigods to rule over the material energy. I have expanded as Paramatma to empower those demigods. As Paramatma, I am governing the karma of the living entities. And all this is going on, but I am aloof. And I am not bound, karma bandhana. I am not bound by this creation. Right? Just like we in this world, we may build a house. We spend our money, time and energy, and then we're attached to this house. And we think, oh, this is my house. I will have a nice wife and have children and so on and so forth in this house. And we become attached. But Krishna, he maintains his Atmaram, self-sufficient position. And as Prabhupada says in the purport there, he just governs the action and reaction of the living entities. But, yetam mam prapadyante, all of them that surrender unto me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, samaham, I take special care of those. They surrender unto me, and I govern them personally. There's that verse, isn't it? Right? Samaham sarvabhuteshu, that I am equal to all living entities. I don't dislike one and favor another. But if one renders service to me, then I render service to him. I take him as a friend. He takes me as a friend. I take him as a friend. And then I personally supervise his devotees. There is a verse there, Mayam Itam, that in the Bhagavatam says, sadhus or saints are my heart. They only have me in their heart. I know one, they know one but me, and I know no one but them. Of course, this verse is Bhava. Krishna is saying, I don't know anyone but my sadhus. My sadhus, my devotees, I have full attention to them. I am their servant. I am the servant of my devotees. I am Ishvara Parama, but I am the servant of all the devotees. Of course, actually, Krishna is the servant of all the creation, whether it's material or spiritual, as we find here. Everything is resting upon Krishna. Just like everything is resting upon, you can say, physical laws, but Krishna is the supporter and the creator of those physical laws. So the whole creation that is expanded from Krishna is resting upon Krishna to exist. And we exist from moment to moment, eternally, we can say, because of Krishna. Krishna is maintaining our existence. Sutri mani gana iva. Just like this tulsi bead necklace, it remains a necklace as long because it's resting upon the thread. If the thread is not there, it dissipates. It just goes sideways. But the whole creation is resting upon Krishna at every moment eternally for existence. And yet Krishna is aloof. He has expanded into the creation. How is he expanded? Krishna's tu Bhagavan Swayam, Bhagavatam says, he is Bhagavan, Ishvara Parama. He is Param Purusha, Supreme Person. Excuse me. And, what am I saying? He is the Supreme Person, and he has created everything. Everything is resting upon him. And he is the source of everything. Anadir Adir Govinda, all entities, Sarva Karana Karanam, all the laws of spiritual and material energy, everything is resting upon Krishna at all times. And yet, but he has expanded himself. So he is Bhagavan, and as we, Brahmeti, Paramatmeti. For the material energy, he has expanded into the material energy as Paramatma. And everything is resting upon him. And there is also another expansion, and that is Brahmeti, the effulgence of Krishna. Haranmayena Patrena. So Krishna's effulgence pervades the spiritual and material creation, but for the material creation, he is expanded as Paramatma, and he supervises the desires and the karma phal of all the living entities, and he is aloof. He has expanded it. And he is spending his time with his devotees. As Hare in Vaikuntha, Aishwarya Bhav, Lakshmi Narayan and all the devotees and all the expansions, they all have their lokas. And then the highest realm is Goloka, and Krishna is there with Radha and his devotees, and he knows only them. Hare knows only his devotees, and Krishna knows only his devotees in Goloka. And Paramatma knows all the materially conditioned souls. Now, why are they in the material energy? Because they don't have the most confidential knowledge. And that is, this is particularly evident in Kali Yuga. There's so many science universities and philosophers, and they're all discussing the material energy. And they have so many political theories. Globalism, socialism, nationalism, national socialism, whatever, anarchy. They have so many, and their scientists are examining this, electricity and light, and they are trying to find Brahma, which is supreme, the explanation, the source of this creation. But they fail, because they don't have the confidential knowledge, is that beyond this material energy, and this material energy is resting upon the potency of the Supreme Lord, and this material energy is not everything. Krishna's tu Bhagavan Sayam. That there is a transcendental realm beyond this material perception. And that is the realm, that is the attention of the devotee. The materialist is looking into the material energy as a form of explanation and a form of enjoyment. And he, all that religious stuff, that is, Now, he may have a good reason to think like that, reject like that, if it's manodharma, man-made religion. In Kali Yuga, there's lots of man-made religion. And they propose that God, they don't think that God is one and full of potency. They have some kind of dualistic vision of God. There's God and the devil. And they're fighting. And then there is atheistic ethical systems, and they have yin and yang, duality. And then there is atheists, like communism. Oh, there is no God. We should the state should own the means of production and then give everyone a fair share. And you believe in God? Then you must go to the gulag. So these are the philosophies, religious or otherwise. Friends and enemies, duality. You're not in my religion, that means you're with the devil. My religion is for, we worship God. You're worshiping God, but you're not worshiping God like me, therefore you're with the devil. And this comes into communism, right? Like I say, you're not a communist. You believe in God. You believe in a Christian church. You believe in this. You believe in the Vedas. You're the devil. Go to northern Siberia for 100 years until you die of work or something. So this dualism, this is natural in the material world. And it is evidence of ignorance. Because we react to this material world in terms of, I like this and I don't like this. This is the material energy. Because we are spiritual beings, we want perfect, unlimited ecstasy, but in the material world, we get a little drop of pleasure. We get a little drop of, and we get lots of pain and drops of pleasure. So our calculation, as we're trying to jignyasa, understand this material energy, we notice there's good and there's bad. So therefore there is God and the devil. And so we construct whole philosophies of this. And we come to some conclusion through illusion that our conclusion is correct and everybody else is wrong. And that is in the Vedas, it's called prasatmika buddhi and avaranatmika buddhi, these subtle effects of Maya. Prasatmika buddhi means intelligence. Prasatmika means the intelligence is thrown into illusion. Just like the atheists think there's no God. But then avaranatmika buddhi comes along and it says, avara means covering. And it tells the person that the conclusion that you have chosen somehow or other is correct. So in the material world, you will find the communist, the atheistic communist, I'm correct. The theist is incorrect. The theistic person is thinking, I'm correct and you're wrong. I'm a member of this religion and you're a religion, you're wrong and I'm right. Everyone is thinking in this material world, and we can learn from this point that they are correct. I am right, you're wrong. Arsenal is a better football team than Tottenham. And if Tottenham beats Arsenal, it's because they paid the referee. So we're always calculating and proposing that my idea, my position is correct. And yours, if it's not the same as mine, is defect. So, duality, conflict, decisiveness. But all these people struggling, religious, scientifically, trying to make the sense and understand who is the creator, who is the creative force, what is the creative force, their solution to this inquiry is only there if they inquire into transcendence. So transcendence, the spiritual knowledge presented in the Vedas, is very simple. That there is a Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is expanded as energy, Purusha and Prakriti. And how to attain that realization mentioned here? Bhakti abhideya. There's sambandha, abhideya, prayojan. What is sambandha? Supreme Lord and all the energies that he has produced. That sambandha means relationships. They all have particular relationships discussed in the Gita. Then abhideya, how to realize that. And then prayojan, what is the goal of all this? And that is, as it comes in the end of this chapter, that if you practice bhakti to Krishna, you will transfer from the material energy to the spiritual energy. So Vedic knowledge, if you boil it all down to the essentials, Krishna's tu Bhagavan Swayam, Ishvara Parama Krishna. That Krishna is the Supreme Lord. That is the root of Sambandha. And that is also the root of Abhideya. Because if you recognize that Krishna is Parameshwara, then you will become devoted, or you should become devoted. And then prayojan comes from that. By becoming devoted to the Supreme Lord, as advised by all the great sages, you will attain prayojan. You will, that is in the last verse, like I say, the most, yes. Manmana bhava mad bhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru. Mam aivashya yuktmaivam admanam mat parayana. Engage your mind always in thinking of me, become my devotee, offer obeisances unto me. That is Abhideya, right? Thinking of me, the absolute Brahman. Being completely absorbed in me, surely you will come to me. So Sambandha Abhideya Prayojan. But, just like I say, from Sambandha comes Abhideya. And then from Abhideya comes Prayojan. So Prayojan is dependent on Abhideya, and Abhideya is dependent on Sambandha. And the root of Sambandha is Krishna's tu Bhagavan Swayam. Right? That Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And so if you want to condense it all down, then that is the most confidential knowledge. That Krishna, who appeared 5,000 years ago in this area, Krishna, who is praised by all the great acharyas, who has spoken the Bhagavad Gita, who's glorified in the Vedanta, who's glorified in the Srimad Bhagavatam particularly, who is described in the Mahabharata, that he is that Brahman. Tato Brahma Jignas. So the most confidential knowledge is one point. Krishna's tu, Bhagavan Swayam. Just like in the 10th, Krishna, what does he say? Aham sarvasya pravavo matak sarvam prabhatate iti matva bhajanti mam bhuta bhava samambita. I am the source of all material and spiritual worlds. Because I'm not just creating the material world, Arjuna, I've created the spiritual world, or Vaikuntha Loka. Iti matva bhajantima. Those that have understood this, that I am the source, I am the cause of all causes, bhajantimam, they perform abhideya, they perform bhakti, bhuta bhava, if they understand it nicely, with the help of a sadhu or guru or sastra. So it all comes down to one point. And we find that even when people go to the Vedas, there are 6 darshans. Darshan means way of seeing. So the 6 darshans are there. Vaisheshika, right? That is an interpretation of Vedanta Sutra and the Vedic knowledge. Vaisheshika, that is the sage in charge of that philosophy, is Gautama. And basically, atoms and void. The explanation of creation and this existence that we're all experiencing, the explanation can be taken down to atoms and void. So it is voidism. So you can see how an element of that has come into the modern materialistic philosophies. Then the second darshan is Nyaya. Lord Chaitanya was an expert in Nyaya. And so they stress, if you want to understand this creation that you find yourself in and confused by, you should use logic. So that is also in general in human society. So Nyaya, the big sage in charge of that is Kanada. And basically Nyaya means that through analysis, perception of this world, and then anumant, interpretation, and that interpretation should be based on logic, then you can understand. You'll come to a good conclusion. And then there's a third darshan, that is Sankhya and Kapila. Sankhya teaches it is analytical description and analysis and how the different categories of material energy are created. Earth, water, fire, air, ether, intelligence, the working senses, the knowledge acquired, how that is all analyzed. And he brings his basic point is Purusha and Prakriti. And if you understand what is Purusha, but this is correct, but they are analyzing in a limited function. We'll come to that, number 6. So that's number 3. Number 4 is Patanjali. Patanjali says, look, don't get into all this analysis and Purusha, but you try to meditate on the Absolute. You try to attain Kaivalya, right? Samadhi, right? The 8 steps ending in Samadhi. Jhana, Dharana, Samadhi, last 3. And then when you have attained Kaivalya, your consciousness has gained oneness. So he's talking about consciousness, very good, progressing. But there is no mention in these, or there's no stress in these early 4 about the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So we see that even in the spiritual knowledge, Krishna as Krishna's tu Bhagavan is limited. Now number 5 is called Kama Mimamsa. And the big sage, the big rishi in charge of that, he also wrote interpretations and Mahabharata. He teaches Kama Mimamsa. And he says, actually, all the Vedas, in the Vedas, there are so many yagyas. And we are in this material energy, and we should perform good karma, and the Yagya Lord, Vishnu, he has to give you the result of the yagya. So you do a good yagya, and you'll get the result. And that philosophy stresses a kind of mechanistic view of reality. You worship Vishnu, and you will get your result. But then, number 6 is Upasana Kanda. Upasana, or Bhakti Kanda, that is proposed by Vedavyasa. And his idea is, yes, there is a Supreme Lord, Prakriti, there is energy, there are atoms, there is meditation, there is fixing the consciousness. But the way you will understand and achieve success in your endeavor is through bhakti, upasana. Upasana means worshipper, upasana kanda. Because the Supreme Lord, not through a mechanical obligation like in Kama Mimamsa. I performed a yagya, so Vishnu, the yagya Lord, Yagyapati, has got to give me the result. But now, Vedavyasa and all the acharyas explain that the Supreme Lord, and this comes back to what we said in the beginning, the Supreme Lord is giving you results but not because he's bound. He's transcendental to the material creation. It rests within him, but he's transcendental and aloof. But he will give you results out of his mercy. Ye tam mam prapadyante means all of them as they surrender to me, like we have a Ekadashi on Monday. So you do a good Ekadashi and Krishna will give you a result. But not through a mechanical process. I fasted from water, Krishna. I want a good result. You owe it to me. You've got to. No. He gives result out of his mercy. You see, his involvement from his transcendental position is mercy. Therefore, what do we say? Hey Krishna, Karuna Sindhu, Dina Bandhu Jagatpate. Oh Krishna, you're the Supreme Lord. You're friend of the fallen. You're an ocean of mercy. So this is bhakti. And Veda Vyas has come at number 6 darshan. Because we have all the material energy. They're in a bad way because they don't accept a transcendental Lord. But then within the Vedic knowledge, the ultimate position is Krishna's tu Bhagavan Swayam. He's attained by bhakti, and attaining Krishna means that you will attain him in that aloof, transcendental position. You see the point? So that is the most confidential knowledge. That is the final point. And that final 3 things dependent on one thing, and that is realizing that Krishna's tu Bhagavan Swayam, not Lord Shiva, not Lord Brahma, not Durga Devi, not Kalima, but Krishna's tu Bhagavan Swayam. And that's why Krishna says, Iti matva bhajanti mam buddhava. Those that know me as the supreme source, the supreme maintainer, they become devoted to me. It's natural. And then from within the heart, what does Krishna say? Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam pritipurvakam dadami. I, out of my mercy, I give them the understanding by which they can come to me. So, Krishna is Sambandha. What is Abhideya? When we boil down Abhideya, 3 words. Bhajatam Pritipurvakam. The devotee, if you want to understand Abhideya, you only need 3 words. You worship Krishna, understanding he is the supreme source and maintainer, and you worship him Pritipurvakam. You don't worship him as a big intellectual, as a smart guy, as a big tapasvi. You worship him like a child. The mother gives an apple to the child and says, offer this apple to Krishna. Oh, and look, put a tulsi. And the child takes the apple, puts it in front of a picture of Krishna. And the mother says, tell Krishna, please enjoy this nice apple. And the innocent child, seeing the mother and father doing the same, Krishna, please enjoy this apple. That is bhakti. Why? He's not the child. Does he know the Vedas? Has he got Diksha? Has he got anything? He's just gone towards Krishna, a picture of Krishna with an apple, and he said, Krishna, this is a nice apple. Mummy gave it to me. You enjoy it. He's on the path of bhakti. He's pursuing bhakti perfectly. He knows the most confidential knowledge. And because he's offered an apple to Krishna, Krishna will never forget. Krishna will take, he is one of my devotees. Now, Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam pritipurvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam yenamam upiyantite. I will take him. And then what's the 4th verse of that? Tesham evanukam patham aham agyana jamtaba nashyami atma bhavasto jnana dipina bhasvata. I, dwelling within their heart, dispel the ignorance born of ignorance, the darkness born of ignorance. With the shining lamp of knowledge. So that is the most confidential knowledge. This is the apex of the Vedic knowledge, that Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam, Bhajatam Pritipurvakam, and then Krishna will take us back to Godhead. We just rely on Krishna. And this is the essence and the complete form of Vedic knowledge. You don't need to know more than this. Now there may be so many rituals and samskaras and this and that. But if you accept, if you have realization that Krishna is the Supreme Person, and I will just do bhajan, his bhajan, with a loving mood. I make some chapatis, I offer Krishna, but I offer it with Priti Purvakam, little Priti Purvakam. And then Yetam Mam Prapadyante, right? All of them, as they surrender to me, I reciprocate accordingly. So if we give an apple or some chapatis to Krishna with loving attitude, Krishna gives us loving attitude in return. So Krishna is aloof, he's balanced at Maram, and he's not interfering, but he is waiting for you. And then once you have entered into relationship with Krishna, then I am a friend to him, and he is a friend to me. And that is bhakti. And that is the essence of everything. And Krishna is closer. He is Atma Atma. He is the soul of the soul. He is within the soul. And so the devotee realizes Krishna within himself. He realizes Krishna within transcendence. And that is the most transcendental knowledge. And to do that, the accessory or central practice is to hear the Shastra from the great acharyas and to chant what? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare. That's the most confidential knowledge. So thank you all very much. Any quick question before Sachi becomes angry? Huh? Time over. Any quick question? Make one question. Huh? Okay. We're all satisfied. So remember, if you want to know all the most confidential knowledge, just remember, Sambandha means Krishna, is Bhagavan. And then, coming from that is Bhajatam Priti Purvakam. Don't forget that, Priti Purvakam. Don't do it as an empty ritual or mechanically. Do it, oh Krishna, you are my creator, maintainer. I give you this. And then, Prayojan, Krishna, he is taking me to the transcendental world by his mercy. Jai Radhe, Jai Shyam, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Okay, fine. So now you know the most confidential knowledge.